Tonight we'll be discussing mental health. I've got a registered nurse who deals with mental health care. Yes, man. So that's going to be a cool chat tonight. I reckon. I reckon it's going to be awesome. Le awesome sauce. Let's boogie. Let's boogie, 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 boogie. Ichu. Might as well play Sarah's song, man. Let's go. Hello, Rizne, DJ Rizne.
Watch me as I go, now I'm taking flight. Find me in the city, never sleep at night. All around the town, see my name in lights. I was born to perform. All across the world, you can call my name. They're rushing to the front whenever I'm on stage.
Make sure that as you come on, it's live. Hello. Little squeaky guaca or something. Like a little emoji thingy. Or hi, hello. What up? I'll make sure I share it live on the screen so you can see it and sound. There's the mighty Philip. Oh. Philip, we have to check on your internet flacker, man. You don't have kids running around in the background there. Although I don't mind them running around the background. Can you join us? Philip, very well spoken. Got that cool Afrikaans accent in his English that makes everything sound more important. Amen. Well, great. Let's get this show on the road. I'm going to add Mr. Steven to the stream, and then we can introduce ourselves and each other, and let's see where this convo goes. I'm excited. I like talking about mental health, seeing it's one of the biggest battles of my life. Woohoo! Mr. Steven, how you doing?
I'm good, sir. How are you doing?
Awesome. Let me put my headphones on so it doesn't echo over here. I think my mic picks up everything. Someone mentioned last time that it was. Okay. Bonk. There we go. So I was asking Renee, I said, I seen your LinkedIn says registered nurse health professional, but what's the correct protocol? Do we call you doctor, nurse? What's the correct protocol? Around here, I call anybody who knows more about me than mental health doctor.
Okay. I'm trained as a registered nurse, but then I specialize in forensic nursing, which is mental health specialization. So I do assessments for categorization of mental health patients, diagnosis and treatment. So you could call me a registered nurse. I'm okay with that. I have a Bachelor of Science in Nursing, and then that specialty. Yeah.
Wow. I wonder why they don't call. I mean, if someone's got a bachelor in science and nursing, that's like doctory, isn't it? That sounds very doctorish to me.
But in this world, it's one of it's a general degree which you need then to specialize more in, and then you can end that. But registered nurse is good enough. But I do that as a specialty, and that's what I have been doing for the past 14, nearly 15 years now.
Wow. So what is so I mean, so you're a a registered nurse. You got a Bachelor of Science specifically for dealing with mental health. So I assume you take care of mental health patients like 8 hours a day and longer.
Yes, I have a Bachelor of Science in Nursing, which is a general nursing degree, but then I specialize in mental health.
Okay, I'm with you.
But not just general mental health, but the forensics part of it, which is, say, a patient, a person, an individual has a problem with the police, or they run into issues, and then they're arrested, they're charged, they're taken to court. You then see or come across the criminal justice system with the patient as an individual, as an accused, but then the lawyer would then advocate and then say, at the time of commission of the offense, this person was not in their right mind. I don't think it's proper that we can charge them. Before we do that, why can't we assess them? And then at that point, that's my entry point. So we find patient is then, or individual is then referred from the court and then becomes a patient on admission at my hospital. That's when I interact with them.
Wow, that's awesome. Gee whiz. So you have uh, quite an interesting life, man.
No, it is. Thank
You-
you. It's
it's
very
like a
interesting.
it's like a TV show.
It's very interesting. It's rewarding, to be honest, because you come across acute patients. You know how we always think of acuteness as in the form of, oh, they go to emerge and then somebody is seriously sick. They've been involved in a car accident. They have broken limbs. Then we say, oh, they are sick. They are in acute, whatever, they have pneumonia. But in mental health, because of maybe stigmatization and labeling and misunderstanding, this is an area which has never been, ventured into fully. It's still being discovered, and people are still, developing it. You then come across these patients in an acute form. They're sick, they need treatment, they need help, and then you step in to try and treat them, and then the doctors will be assessing. It's not just a general doctor. You have a psychiatrist who is assigned to that patient. Is a specialty as well. So this is that's the top end of mental health nursing.
Sure, that's crazy. So you're able to sit and assess to determine whether, so like let's say someone is violent, so you get to sit down and assess whether or not that violence stems from like an acute form of schizophrenia or paranoia or whatever produced that, you know, or if it's just some wicked dude who lost his temper.
That's very true. Because on admission, you admit a patient, you sit down with them, and then you ask them questions together with the psychiatrist. And then, the psychiatrist, once they are done, then the patient is left in your care, and then you further up the assessment. So assessment is ongoing. It's not just at the point of meeting or admission. By asking questions, hello, how are you, pastor? I see how you respond. And then from there on, I pick up cues from that conversation. I probe some to get some answers which I may be looking for, and some are just openly there, and some you have to dig into, and then because of categories of mental illnesses which are different, then schizophrenia is just one of them.
Wow. It's a message from Philip. He's also a minister. He says, definitely not for the faint hearted, the type of work you do. Really very important work, which is unappreciated most of the time. Thanks for what you do to really help people.
Thank
That's
you,
cool.
Philip. Thank you, Philip. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And that's very true. In most cases, nurses who work in mental health are underappreciated. They are not understood together with their patients. The community does not give them credit. You would rather, for some people, they appreciate or they prefer to work in, say, the admission in the med surge, where, people would think, oh, somebody has a broken limb, then you fix that. or the person is treated, they go out, oh, I'm well, I'm okay. Then people say, oh, look at this nurse. They are working really hard, but that's not true. I think frontline nurses who work in mental health are some of the most hardworking people because we're doing a tough job, which is misunderstood, working with the people
Yes.
to help them.
You know, I spent 15 years in suicidal depression, you know, and kind of, but quite serious bipolar disorder, post traumatic stress disorder, you know,
Yes.
and um, and I'm just thinking at my manic highs and my manic lows, just how my wife had to kind of figure out how to manage that. I was thinking, you know, I don't think I was committable because, you know, we were still could kind of manage it with a bit of diet, exercise, and good trigger management. And I've been to a mental institution, a mental health facility, if you will, just to go and visit and pray for people and to see. I thought, sure, you know, my wife has to handle me when I'm triggered. Like this morning, I was severely triggered, but she just like lets me blow off some steam and then just gives me some love. But that doesn't. I've been visited, administered at some mental institutions, and then people have just, you know, they've left. It's like they're in the boot of their own car. You know, they're like in the trunk of their own vehicle.
Yes.
They something else or someone else is driving, and so I mean, you're a born again Christian. So, what would you say is the difference between possession and mental health issues?
So mental health is triggered by different things. Uh, Usually, there's a predisposition to it. You find some people are born with parents or from parents who are exposed to or who already have mental health illnesses. Some genes could be recessive or dormant, but then at some point they then become prominent. And then you have, say, a father who has some trait or something, and then you have a mother who has a background or history of mental health illness in the family. They come together without them knowing that, you know, both of us are predisposed to it. They have a
Mm.
child, and then sometimes that kid has the genes in them. And then at some stage, you find that onset of mental health starts from 18, 15 to like 32, 35, thereabout. Usually that's when you find schizophrenia kicking in, but it
Mm.
affects people who are teenagers, mostly in their late teens to early teens, early 20s. Um, and then you have depression, which is caused by so many issues. There's triggers to it. It could be you've lost somebody you love, you've been abused in life. You know how some families, for example, say some people adopt a child, nobody really cares about them, then everybody's abusing them, but nobody really sees it. Whereas it's open, that child suffers from a mental breakdown of depression eventually, and it may trigger some form of mental illness
Mm.
eventually in life. And then you find that kid or child is abusive to themselves, they are self-harming, they develop tendencies because nobody has understood them, nobody has stood for them, nobody has stopped somebody who is abusive. So that child there develops mental illness. You have PTSD, which you talked about. You find a lot of people who work with violence, like in the army, they're exposed to, you know, battles and they see people injured. You know, there's trauma there as well. And then later on, they relive these experiences. That's trauma that has been done to the head, injury to their mental capacity, and then they end up with PTSD. Then you have people who also have, say, what we call dual diagnosis. They have some congenital problem. They have mental development delays, and then eventually they develop some developmental issues with regard to the brain. Or you have somebody who does not have a predisposition, but is involved in a car accident, head injury. That trauma then injures the brain, and then you end up with some form of mental illness. So there's a lot of causes, as opposed to when somebody, when you say possession, from an African understanding, or South African Zimbabwe. I'm Zimbabwean, I have a Zimbabwean background. So Zimbabwe and Africa and South Africa pretty much have the same way of lifestyle for the native people. A possession, I don't know much about it, but I know that some family members who believe in it, there has to be a spirit or some control that comes, and then you're possessed with, either if it's an evil spirit, then that evil spirit manifests in you, and then you present in a different, or you act out in a certain way. And the people who are seeing, they see the way you behave, and then they say, oh, they're possessed. Some who believe in traditional ways then consult the spirits. Some who believe in other ways. Traditional simply means even if you're white, you have your traditional background of doing things.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
if you are Chinese, you have your traditional way of doing things. Black, again, you have your traditional way of doing things. So each category of race then deals with that aspect differently.
Yes. Yeah, I'm of the opinion. So, when I was going through I call it the Great Depression, um, people were trying to cast demons out of me, and they were trying to, because I've been in the Christian world since I was 16 years old. And they said they're doing deliverance, and I'm oppressed, and they used all sorts of terminology. And then when I went to the doctors, they told me, listen, you've got some traumatic behavioral reinforcement issues, triggers that have occurred over and over and over, and that has produced within you some very serious sensitivities, things that can trigger you all the way to suicide. But in the same way, like we've done a lot of crusades, and then people will come forward and they make the same noises that someone who's absolutely crazy would do. And this is also white, black, across all racial lines, where they come forward and they're fine one moment, and then the worship starts, and then suddenly they're like, "Rah, rah," and you think, okay, is that guy acting now, looking for attention? What's going on? And then sometimes you realize you can actually feel the atmosphere change, then okay, this right here, this is a real issue. And then you just cast that thing out, and then you see the person's eyes clear. But I haven't seen that as often in, kind of European circles as I do in African circles. And I'm of the opinion that, like you mentioned, if it's a cultural norm, I think people adopt a belief system to a point where there's a lot of actors, a lot of people looking for attention, because, and sometimes they're even paid by ministers to pretend. But I mean, that's not really what we're talking about today. You remember that guy that he used to go from church to church, and then he would charge like $10, or it's like 150 rand or something in South African rand. Then he would pretend to be dead, and then he'd
Yes.
sit up in the coffin. They found out that was his business model. And the whole church dances and celebrates. But you can't really get away with it in 2022 so easily anymore because of social media. Everybody's got cameras.
Yes, that's
You
very
know?
true.
So they say, hey, look, a guy's chest was moving up and down before he sat up.
Thank you. That's very true. I don't know how that pastor, I read about the story. I was already here. That pastor, I don't know how he pulled it up with the congregation he had, and nowadays in this day and age, how a normal person can believe in something like that. Resurrecting somebody from the dead, to be honest, was just maybe it occurred way back during Jesus' time, and maybe with one or two people that he resurrected. I don't think anybody else other than him could pull that. I don't know why people continue to believe in normal human beings and ordinary person. Honestly, I'm baffled. I don't have much spirituality as much as you do. You would know better than I do, but why the congregation, ordinary people like us, would have so much faith in an individual to be able to claim that they wake somebody from the dead, yet sometimes they can't even buy a new shoe for themselves. It's interesting.
Yeah, they can't cure their own headache.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, see, I believe that it's possible. I believe anything's possible. I believe that, all things are possible, that there's things we don't know.
Mhm.
But, I've been in this Christian walk for so long. So there was this lady who was traveling around, and she had her death certificate. She would carry her death certificate and a written testimonial from the guy in the morgue who testified that after she was embalmed, she rose from the dead when people were praying for her.
Mhm.
And I mean, she would travel with these two things. And then it turned out that it was a business model.
Exactly. Yes.
The guy at the morgue had been paid off. The doctor had been paid off. And this was a white lady. She was traveling the world testifying with these two pieces of paper. It's about 20 years ago. And, she would make huge money. Everybody was watching her videos and buying her books, and I can't remember what it was. And then there was another lady who would come and minister, and then gold dust would fall out of her hair.
Mhm.
And she shook her hair, and then gold dust falls, and woo! People freak out, whoa, shabba, ba, 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 ba. And then it turns out that the guy's like helping her, and he's putting gold dust in her hair before he comes. The guy who travels with her puts this dust in her hair, and then she walks in a particular way so that only at a certain point where she shakes her hair and she goes like this gold dust falls out. But she was making millions, because
Wow.
people just swallowed it hook, line, and sinker. So although I believe in the supernatural, I believe, that God can raise people from the dead. I believe that God can. There's some things that only a miracle can cure,
Mhm.
But I also believe that, the Bible says we're destroyed for lack of knowledge, and psychiatry, psychology, medical sciences, biologies, those things are knowledge. And I think if we turn our back on knowledge, we turn our back on the greatest miracle of all, which is the ability to understand how we were created, how we were put together. Because the human body we're basically biomechanical entities. We're these cars, these
Mhm.
marvelous, well oiled, like it's got its own internal lubrication systems and its own internal fuel conversion center. You put food in here. Someone said, they can't wait to see technology like, have you seen Back to the Future? Have you seen that movie Back to
Yeah,
the
I've
Future?
seen it. Yeah.
So, at the end of Back to the Future, then he's throwing all the junk into the top of the car, and then it converts it. And the guy's like, I can't wait for that technology. I said, what do you mean? You are that technology. You convert junk into energy. Organic materials gets converted into energy, and then it gets separated and turned into lubrication and broken down into molecular
Yes.
level and sent up to the brain so that electrons can fire, and cortisol and serotonin can squirt all over the place. And
Yeah.
it's like we're a marvel. We've got this blood that cleans itself, a heart that pumps. Do you know how much blood does the heart pump every day? I don't know, I can't remember.
It is quite. I don't want to lie before the show, but it's a lot of. I think more than 100 liters or thereabout that it can pump. It's close to half a drum, if not more. I think quite a lot.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, my friends and I, we have the blood service come here, and then we give blood, I think, once every 6 weeks. How often can you do it?
Yeah.
Anyway, they come here to overcome us. And then me and Coach Carl and whoever happens to be there, then we say, okay, do us all at the same time. We're going to race to see who can fill our bag the fastest.
Yeah.
Yes, because some people, their blood's pumping faster than the others. And I was thinking, yes, if I fill that little bag so quickly during the day, how many bags can I fill? If I didn't run out of blood, that is, like and the fact that your skin how often does it your skin completely replaces itself every couple of, I don't know if it's hundreds of days or how it works, but I mean the body's a marvel and can be fixed just by understanding it. That's why wisdom is the principal thing.
Yes. You know how when you talk of the heart and how much it pumps, I've been in surgery before, and sometimes say there's a complicated surgery that they have to make you sleep. You know how they would inject you with a certain medicine to help you sleep, or as soon
Yes.
as they inject it, they'll tell you that, oh, we're injecting this medication. Right away you see yourself fading. So but they're injecting it into the arm, and then you feel it in your head. Then your whole body is gone in a very short while. So I'm just saying that's how fast, like very, very
Blood
fast.
pumps.
Yeah, blood pumps across.
It's like in your arm and you feel it in your head immediately. It's like,
You immediately feel it. You can't even count. They will say, "Hey, can you count 1 to 10?" I don't even think you can.
yeah, count backwards from 10. Yeah. I've been in surgery many times because of my adventurous life, and they say, count back from 10. 10, 9.
Yes. So that's how fast. That's how fast your heart is pumping, and that bag you feel is just a portion of the whole amount of blood that is circulating.
I'm going to Google it quick.
It's a very small amount.
How fast does my blood take to get to my brain? Let's see here. Yeah, they say it's the equivalent of about 3 to 4 miles per hour,
Yes.
which is how many? That's kilometers. So that's 3. So you can say about 6 or 7 kilometers per hour. So that
Yeah.
is very fast for blood to pump through that little vein.
Yes.
Oh, my word. That's what squirts like that when you cut yourself in the right place.
Exactly. Maybe that's the speed. You know how it spits out sometimes
Yeah.
for those. Yeah, that's the speed that it will be traveling.
Sure. Anyway, okay. So what is we're gonna chat about anyways.
Yeah.
What's that? Yeah.
Schizophrenia.
Oh yeah. So I'm just gonna quickly share the photo. Yeah. So the reason, I mean, besides having an interesting chat, Philip says every 7 years you're a new person, skin and all. That's
Wow.
amazing. The body completely replaces itself every 7 years. That's
Beautiful.
cool, eh?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. It is.
That's so well designed. Okay, so who is this?
That's anyways, mother.
Do you know what anyways mother's name is?
To be honest, no, because in our culture, she's older than me, and culturally, it's irrespectful to ask somebody older than you, even if they are in-laws or they are part of your family, what their first name is. So no, I wouldn't know.
So we're just gonna call her Mrs. Anyway.
That's anyways, mother. It's yeah. I don't know. We may just refer to anyways, mother, I think.
Yeah, okay. So we'll say this is Anyway's mom. Anyway is the guy who works on the farm with Renee, who you see commenting here. Renee, if you don't mind saying hi in the comments if your internet still allows for it. And tonight we want to do a special fundraiser for Anyway's mom. She's in Zimbabwe. And we need to raise, I believe, around about $500 or $600. Because she needs to get to the hospital, I think. She needs to go for a CAT scan. She needs to get medication. Could you tell us more about what's happening with Anyway's mom? So this is you are Anyway's uncle on his dad's side. That's
on his,
right, huh?
yeah, on his dead side.
Ah, cool. Okay. There's Renee says hi. She
Hi,
says hi and
Renee, how are
thanks.
you?
Okay.
So, if I may chip in, what my understanding of what's happening with her is she is beginning to forget things. She is beginning to be uncooperative with some chores, basic chores, like say if she was to wash her body, she becomes very defensive. She is not willing to participate at that point, meaning these are different episodes that happen, they recur on different occasions. Not every day, but sometimes more often than the other, and there's no pattern to it. Again, it depends with who she is interacting with. So, from my understanding, when she forgets things or when she's uncooperative, she acts or behaves in a certain way, which the family is, kind of surprised what's happening in her life. She's about 53 or so, and we still consider that young, but she's, middle age, past middle age. We would have expected that to happen with somebody who is much older if it was dementia, if it was Alzheimer or anything. So, upon talking to Renee, I understand that Anyway's mother hears voices, and that to me just sends a different spin to my understanding of the illness, because I had not been told that she hears voices. Anyway, was kind of, I think he didn't tell me that because he didn't think that was an important part of the main puzzle. So he was mentioning just the uncooperative part, the fact that she leaves home without telling anybody, that she visits people, she walks long distance to other places, and then she doesn't tell anybody where she's going. So these behaviors are not normal for a married person in our culture, and for somebody like her. Knowing her, she's a reserved, respectful person. She would never even do that. This is my first time hearing that, even from Anyway. So because of that, um, I was of the opinion that maybe she needed a CAT scan to find out if there's any brain that has been affected, because this is what we do with our mental health patients. Again, depending on the specialization of whoever interprets, that brain scan, it then, is further or subjected to how the interpreter then puts it down to how can we best, or what part of the brain is affected. But upon hearing that she is hearing voices, I am of a different opinion now. I'm thinking, why can't they visit a psychiatry hospital instead of, going to a specialist? Because I am not a doctor. It was just an opinion that we could kind of troubleshoot. But it
Yes.
was in the absence of, vital information, which is the fact that she is now hearing voices. And I told Renee that, you know, hearing voices is one of the symptoms of schizophrenia. So some people talk to you, and we call these auditory hallucinations. I'll repeat that again. These are auditory hallucinations. You hear, there's also what is called visual hallucinations. You see, but that part, I haven't heard that she sees anything. It's just that she hears things. And it's not common that you find both of them. It's common that you can find both of them, that the person sometimes can see things, that they can also hear things. So the fact that she hears things, I wish I had talked to Anyway before he went home to say, can you ask your mom what type of things does she hear? And who are the voices that are talking to her? What are they saying? So, as part of my job, it will help me to understand if they are command hallucinations. Are they telling her to do something? Are they just telling you to be paranoid? Oh, if you do this, somebody is poisoning you with the food that you are giving them or
Wow.
you're eating.
Command hallucinations.
Yes,
I haven't heard that before.
yes.
That is wow.
So command would
Yeah.
then be, I want you to go away from your house because if you stay there, everybody is going to get sick. But by going away, you are removing the evil spirit from the house. You take it with you and leave it somewhere else. This is the voice telling her, right? It's just an example I'm giving you. So it's commanding you to leave, and she obeys. The person that you see, the individual that you see, then obeys this order and then goes away. But she may not be willing to share that with people because the person says, don't tell anybody. The voice, sorry, says, don't tell anybody this because it's a secret between you and me. If you tell somebody, then somebody's going to die. So what do you think she will do? She won't cooperate and tell anybody because she doesn't want somebody to die. Mostly it could be, oh, your uncle in Canada is going to die. Then she says, I don't want him to die because she loves me. She is protective. So, as an example, she won't say anything to anybody else. Why? Because the voices, again, will keep telling her, please do not, thank you so much, do not tell anybody these secrets. So, I'm thinking, as opposed to what I had initially said, our best way to go would be if there was resources to take her to a psychiatric hospital to explain to them in detail of the questions I have asked. If she's hearing voices, what are the voices saying? And from what the voices are saying, who are the voices coming from? Because she said she's hearing voices. It's not just one. How many voices do you hear? So, unfortunately, for a layman, you cannot ask those questions without you being trained to be specific to. Those are the cues I was talking about. That one question comes as a result of an answer that comes. So you probe in that direction of how that conversation is going, and then you get to understand more about the person. And then you share, or then you see a trend, then you understand, then you diagnose, and then you treat.
So so in some countries they'll probably like, well, I tell you, if she says in a church that she's hearing voices, people, the first thing they're going to try and do is cast demons out of her.
Thank you.
And and 10 or 20 years ago, they would do electroshock therapy on her. Do they still do electroshock therapy on people?
Yes, I wanted to say that that's part of treatment, but this is only resorted to as a last way to treat persons with depression. When medications have failed, then you do what is called ECT. It's called electroconvulsive therapy, in which some electrodes are kind of placed above the temporal on each side. You could do a singular, therapy, depending, but in most cases there are two. And then there's a certain charge that is passed on to the person the night before the person does not
Is there
eat.
any success in that? Are there any studies where they were shocking someone's brain is successful?
Yes, there's a lot of success.
What?
Part of my job, I forgot to tell you that I also teach mental health in clinical setting at York University. If you can look that up, you'll see that I'm a faculty member of York University.
Okay.
And I teach mental health, and I show my students ECT videos. And you find people who are living with mental illness and they've been treated. They give variation of their healing and treatment. And some can do chores whereas they never were able to do anything. Some can even remain in marriages which were breaking down because they now function. But it's
Wow.
yes, it's a lot of um, treatment, which is maybe for a certain period, like you can be treated for 10 episodes for 20 episodes to 30. Then, depending on how you present, then you can come for what is called maintenance. You may come just once a week or once in a period.
What is it that happens in the human brain that it requires to be shocked for it to work again?
But Pastor, you'll be surprised. I've seen that. Honestly, you'll be surprised. I've been in attendance personally because at my hospital they do ECT,
Yes,
and I
yes.
go with my students. I see the patients. These are real things, and I believe in them because we use them. I use them at hospital. I provide care to patients who are going for ECT, and sometimes I escort them to ECT room. I see them recover. I know how to look after them, and unfortunately, uh, it's one of those many things that maybe God said, in the end, knowledge is going to increase, and this is part of how knowledge has increased to benefit mankind.
Yes. Yeah, I also believe that. I'm trying to figure out. So the reason for shocking someone's head is what's happening up there. That what does the shocking do?
So the shock is going to, okay, there are advantages. There are advantages and disadvantages to
Yeah. Okay, I'm listening. Yeah. It's
there are
crazy.
advantages and
Yeah.
disadvantages to this therapy. One of which is memory loss. Some
Because someone shocked you.
Yeah, so it may cause you to forget long-term things, like you can't forget when you went to high school, you can't forget that you have a degree. It takes time to regenerate, and your memory slowly comes back, and you can only have a limited capacity of things that you remember. That is for some, not for everybody. So different patients have different, categories of, things that happen with their healing and treatment. But all it does, it helps, the shock helps you to kind of treat some of the, I don't know which part of the brain will be affected by that depression part. And all they're doing is to energize it, to make it a little bit more lively. If it didn't have,
Yeah.
firing,
So
it
we
would
really are biomechanical machines. These bodies really are machines. It's a machine. It's got electricity running through it. You can
yes.
shock it right and you can shock it wrong. You can wipe out people's memories with a shock or two.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's like kind of hit and miss, because you don't know which memories it's gonna wipe out. You don't know which, if what it's gonna fix and what it's not gonna fix. It's kind of, zzz, let's see what happens.
Yes. And you see that for some patients, I've seen, you have long-term patients or long-term care patients. You know how somebody could have a chronic mental health illness. We only understand chronic illness as in, oh, he has diabetes. He's an old guy, he has lung cancer, and we say this is chronic. Mental health can also be chronic, meaning you're living with it for the rest of your life. It becomes a long-lived experience and part of you. So for those that are not treatable or are not responding well to your
Medication.
medication, then you find that this therapy then kind of improves. You function better. I've seen guys who are put in seclusion, meaning they live in their small room for most of the time because they can't function with the rest of the mental health patients. Because of that, then they are kind of say, oh, their lifestyle is not good. So what can we do to change? Let's treat them with ECT. Then you find those patients, they come and they live outside. And I believe this helps. I believe in it. I'm being honest with you. And I use it at work, under the direction of specialists, and we kind of follow up through with that.
That's shocking. So Julie says, how does the shock affect long-term or short-term memory? So what have you seen?
So what happens is, I think you and me or everybody has some form of memory in their head, and the shock erases that part. So when it does erase that, it depends, like I said, it then depends on what part has been erased from that. And you may never gain it for some. You'll never be able to recover. But you recover some of it, say going 5 years back, but you may not remember, when you left college or when you were married and so forth. You may
Sure.
even not forget, you may even not remember your kids sometimes.
Yo. So it is quite risky.
It is.
So you know those like little shocky things that they put on you to get your muscle to go.
Yes.
Is is that what you put on your head, or is it a worse shock?
One day I will share in detail with you. Maybe I'll send you a video. But these are like pads. Suppose this is a pad, so they will place it
Yeah.
like that, and then it will be obviously not that big. It will be something like this. Then they
Yes.
place it here, and then they place another one here. I don't have to. I could have used them.
Yes.
Then they are wired to some currency, and there's a little box that controls the voltage, and then at the press of a button, the shock is administered only in very micro level therapy. It's a very
So
small
if you
dose.
take those things that they flex muscles with and you put it on your head, can you wipe out your own memory?
No, that would be wrong because it's not scientific. That one by Dr. Ho is different. It's not what is used. The ECT is scientifically, modeled and researched and developed.
So is
And
it dangerous to put those things on
yeah,
your
and
head?
I would never advise anybody to do that. Yeah.
I'm sure people do it. People are crazy. Like they probably shave their head and they put all the thingies on this, and I'm going to give myself electroshock.
No,
Who am I? Who
yeah.
am I?
Because the danger in
Yeah.
that is the current you're putting through is not controlled. You don't even know how much. Whereas what the doctor is doing is in milli whatever voltage.
Yes.
It's kind of controlled to a certain therapy, because should be a therapeutic dose, which results, in some form of good outcome.
So do not try this at home.
Please, yeah, I'll place a caveat there. Please do not try that at home. No, do
So
not.
anyway, hey Greg, we're having a cool discussion tonight, man. Not everything is demons. Sometimes you just need a bit of a shock. Okay, so let's get back to Anyway's mom. So the dude's name is Anyway that we want to help tonight. This is specialist forensically educated bachelor science degree nurse Stephen from Canada. You're in Canada.
Yes.
And okay, so this lady is in Zimbabwe, and so they don't have so they have to pay for everything themselves. So they want to go to a psychiatrist. She's got like severe possible schizophrenic symptoms, and okay, yeah, here we go. Renee says medical treatment is not free, and Anyway's mum is in a very remote village with poor road infrastructure, far away from the Bulawayo or Harare hospitals where she can be diagnosed and treatment determined, or as Donald says, determined.
Yes.
Determined. Determined. My friend Donald is also from Zimbabwe, and he says determined.
Yes, that's how we pronounce that in Zimbabwe. Determined.
Yeah, determined. Yeah. See, yes, Greg, he's typical. There's the deliverance minister in me would prefer it to be a demon, easier to deal with, much easier to just cast a demon out. 90% demons are actors,
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna try and tonight raise, 5 to 10,000 rand, like 500 or so dollars. So you can send it. Let me just see what the options are at overcomers.co.za on the drop down on PayPal. Overcomers. I just have to learn how to type again. Overcomers. .co.za. Okay. Gonna go here to partner with us. PayPal. Okay, so there's a drop down there that says let's call this one Overcomers Community Missionary. So if you want to give towards this, and I'm going to give you an incentive as to why it's important to do this. So we're going to call this one Overcomers Community Missionary. So if you're giving specifically for this on the PayPal drop down, so you go to overcomers.co.za, and our goal tonight is going to be to raise about $500 for Anyway's mum. Yeah, Greg knows anyway. So I just want to change this up over here. So we're going to aim for $500. Now, here's why I do my best to help people like this, and I'm going to donate to this one as well, is if you're out there and you're in a world or an environment or a situation where you need, it's like I need a breakthrough that for me is impossible, but for others, there's other people out there, like I need 3 million rand, like that's what I need. That's like 200 and something thousand US dollars, you know, that's the miracle we need right now. But what and I need it, like I need it desperately for not just this vision, but for a lot of people that are counting on this vision at the same level that this lady needs help. Now, we all of us together are able to help this lady. We're calling her Anyway's mom because it's Anyway's mom. The guy's name is literally Anyway, and Stephen is Anyway's uncle, and he's helping diagnose the see, look here, I mean, in Zimbabwe, where there is abject poverty, another well-governed African country, eh, Stephen?
Yes, that's why I'm.
That's why you're in Canada. This treatment is not free. So if we don't give, there's no help for her. They need money to get her to the hospital, to get her to see a psychiatrist, to, if a CAT scan is necessary, she's got to pay for it. They don't have medical aid. So if you are desperate for a breakthrough in your own life, you're able to create one at a massive scale in this lady's life. And I'm not talking about if you need a small breakthrough. I'm saying if there's something in your life that is like ridiculous, we reap proportionately. You understand? When we sow, we reap proportionately the harvest that we produce in somebody else's life. So if you, like, I'm going to try and see, I don't have like I've got my own little personal PayPal where people give like to Ruma. So sometimes it's like $3, sometimes it's little $5 sometimes, but I'm going to try and see if I can give at least $50. And I encourage you guys and gals, anybody who needs like a major breakthrough in your life, or if you're just driven by compassion, whatever works in your mind. I've got compassion in my heart. That's why I'm doing this live today. But I also, for our ministry, need a massive breakthrough. So I'm going to try and sow myself in my personal capacity, and I encourage you guys and gals to do the same. So you go to overcomers.co.za, and then you can choose the PayPal drop down or whatever, and you go for community missionaries. And then usually you can leave a comment, and then you can say Anyway's mom or whatever. And let's see if we can pull this off, you know. So I encourage you. So some of you, let's see if something can happen now. I'm going to grab my iPad. That lets me know. And let's see if we can get anywhere Philip says, by when does the money need to be donated? I think it's like whenever it's possible, Philip. So we're probably going to be doing fundraising for the next 5 to 10 days. Yeah. So whenever possible. Yeah. Yeah, so for our American guests anyway, is the one who took everyone for a game drive at Savannah, Africa. He's a great guy. He's a beautiful, beautiful specimen of wonderfulness. Yeah, so please partner if you can. Zimbabwe is worse off than South Africa. We have a lot of Zimbabweans in our community. There's a lot of Zimbabweans in South Africa who are here basically as economic refugees, So if you can help, this is just one little lady, she's in her 50s, which is relatively young. You don't know her. Look at. There's a little kid behind her there who's obviously dependent on her. She's worlds apart from you. Whatever urgent need you have is it pales in comparison. And I know there's millions, and there's more than 1 billion people who need our help. But start with one, and as a ministry, we need lots of breakthrough ourselves. We need mega miracles. But let's focus on this lady tonight, all of us together, and see what miracle we can produce in her life. Amen. Let me grab my iPad. I want to see if anything comes in now. Okay, thank you, Sarai. So there, something came in there already. Let's have a look here. It's cool, and it says anyways, Mom. So we've already got some coming in. So go for it. Let's see how quickly we can climb up there, and let's see if we can help. I think we're going to try and get other people to help as well. But anyway, so that was our objective tonight, to see if we can help this lady. A whole other world away from us all. Man, I tell you, I'm not a big fan of poverty. I tell you, not at all. But anyway. Well, that was fun, Stephen. Thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight, man. That was very interesting.
Thank you so much. Anytime you need, I can always come and be part of any little help I can as well do. Not just for anyways, Mom, but for any other person who needs another state of mental health.
Yeah, I was nervous that you'd start asking me those forensic questions.
I'm going to call you and ask you in your privacy, because this is part of my training, that the fact that I could see that I'm on the show, then there are certain things that become confidential, and then I couldn't discuss them. But I have I have a few questions I would have wanted to ask you, but then I'm
with my strange bipolar swings and triggers and man. I've been asked so many things. You know what my management strategy is?
Mm-hmm.
Is I spend upwards of 7 hours in prayer every day.
Okay.
I do a lot of meditation.
Mm-hmm.
I take some nice balancing things.
You see? Uh-huh.
Diligently. Because as a man of faith, I really believe that the part of us that was made in the image of God is the invisible part of us, the will, intellect, and emotion. And I believe those things are like, they drive this vehicle over here. And this vehicle has got like a car, it's got a computerized system. It's got a computer, which is the brain, and it's got an excellent biomechanical, a competently created biomechanical system that you have to look after. And when
Yes.
this thing short circuits, it's like when you drive in a car and the electronics go, the car doesn't work. It's the human brain is like that. So you being the spirit driving your car, the eternal part of you needs to figure out how we're going to fix this thing now. And most people do it too late, like with the car. They ruin that car's engine completely, and then they sit and then nothing looks wrong, but up here it's messed up because before the computer went, they didn't listen to the spirit to say, fix it, fix it, fix it. Renee's so funny, eh? He says, let's get Stephen to ask you some questions now.
So
Go on. Go
I
ask me some
just
questions.
want to
Go.
add up to say what you've just told me is you have come up with some coping mechanisms which help you to manage your illness or your mental illness. And for most people, they do not know how to cope. When you do, I believe in what is called alternate therapies, which is what is part of what you've described to me: the yoga, the meditation, and the other things you're taking. Those are
Yeah, no, I don't do yoga.
maybe also. I was going to suggest that, hey, Pastor, maybe you need to start, doing some yoga there.
I don't even eat yogurt. I'm lactose intolerant. Yogurt. No, I do. I meditate, but I meditate on the word. Yeah,
Yes.
I'm
So
intentional.
when you do
yeah.
that, you immerse yourself in a certain way and you believe in it, and that's part of your routine, and your body adjusts to that. You're coping with it. And I want to thank you. However, what I can say to other people who are listening, and to those that have teenagers, is they should refrain from using drugs at any cost, because a lot of mental illnesses, they are drug induced, and you'd find that somebody will be doing very well. There's what is called stressors in life. We talked about the PTSD, we talked about some depression. What is a stressor? In English they say it is the last straw that breaks the camel's back. So you could be functioning fine, like you said, like a motor engine. You're fine, but until you ruin it, then something happens to it. Then you start behaving in a mental way, and you don't reverse. You can't. For some, once you've crossed the line, you cannot reverse it. So for those that have young children, teenagers, and even some adults, using drugs is just retrogressive. It backfires on you, and you don't want to end up with some form of mental illness. For those that believe that they are suffering from some form of mental illness, please seek mental health treatment. Go and see a specialist. Talk to somebody who can understand the situation. Reach out to those that you love, family members, and the community leaders, and so forth. I'm in a position at any time, like I said, I believe this is a calling for me. I wish I could benefit my communities back home. But like anybody else, I don't have the means to survive outside a job. And these are some of the things that in future, as I get older, maybe I retire to doing some community service. I'd love to do that. But for now, I also have life challenges and needs that, I must look after myself.
Yes.
But
yes.
I believe that I could make some change with the necessary resources and exposure and so forth.
Yeah, I mean, that's wonderful, man. That's really cool. Well, I see someone else just donated. Let's have a look here. $1 million. Finally. It's awesome. Thank you, Leon. Another bit of money came in. It's awesome. So people are donating towards anyways, Mom. To go back to your chat about drugs, I've been a youth pastor for 30 years. And, so we worked with young people from the ages of 7 up and watched them grow up. And thousands and thousands and thousands. We've been involved in massive ministry. And what it has taught me, and this is the most important lesson, is we've got 4 foster kids, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't let them even vape. Nowhere near alcohol, nothing. Not vaping, not smoking, not nothing. It's like if one of the teenagers comes home and even smells like cigarette smoke, it means she was standing too close to someone who was smoking. Then I ground her. And people say I'm being unreasonable, but I say, listen, I have seen just about every child who ends up with some kind of behavioral issue as just by hanging out with the wrong people, just by being in the proximity of people who have terrible because
Habits.
some people, these habits, some people can smoke and they're fine, but others can't. It's like the worst day of my dad's life was, he'd never had a drop of alcohol in his life, and then my uncle came and gave him a beer, and then my dad has waged war on that most of his life because it was just that he couldn't, like that feeling. And I know that I've got an addictive personality, so people have offered me many things over the years. And as a matter of fact, I was at school and someone came and offered me weed to smoke, and I physically assaulted him because I knew he was trying to ruin my life. It's not the right thing to do. I'm not saying physically assault people, but I was so sensitive. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I grew up in a family where there was always drinking and fighting and parties, and when I got born again, I wanted out of that world. And the more you can save your children from alcohol, cigarettes, even vaping, anything that the body is not created, it's like sugar. I try to avoid sugar, except in summer. Then I have some ice cream, but I try to. Don't give me a false sugar ice cream, then we'll be very bad friends. But sugar is one of my triggers, So I realize if I've had some sugar, there's a shift. I can actually feel my blood change in my body because I've been off sugar for long enough to know the difference. What is it? Tell me what happens when someone is on a sugar high.
All I can say, I will speak generally, in terms of what sugar can do to a human body or human being. Sugar is the worst poison that human beings are taking every day. Why? Because it causes a lot of plaque that deposits in our systems, whether it's in the brain, whether it's in our veins, which then impedes those those synoptic, joints that pass electricity and so forth. So it affects that. So basically, when you're eating sugar, it deteriorates the way your body functions. It stores energy in the form of sugar, which then is converted, for those that know science, it's stored somewhere in your body, but that sugar is not good. So if you can eat anything, even overripe bananas, for example, you say, oh, I'm not eating sugar, but I'm eating fruit. Fruit is good, but not to the extent where the sweetness is too much, because that sugar content is the one that makes you sick. I don't know exactly in detail scientifically what, beyond this, what I've shared with you, what it does, but it's not good for you. It causes you to be sick. I want to share a personal experience with you. I used to drink pop. They come in cases of 24 here, like, the tin ones. And
Yes.
I used to drink the ginger ale, maybe 3 to 4 per day. And at one time I was, and I was so addicted. I would go and pick up when they are on sale. I would load into my car and just bring home. And I would just drink one like that until I finish all that pasta. I would finish it in just one gallop. Yes, I
This
would
is
not
water.
stop. I would just continue drinking it. That's how dependent my body was with sugar. But then, then
Yes.
the sugar high would then kick in. Your body is dependent on the sugar, and you feel good about it. Now you kind of become addicted to it. However, I became sick. I was getting sick. And I could tell something was wrong, and I was putting on weight. I was bulkier than this, and trust me, I then said I should put a stop to it. And besides making a decision to improve my health, there's nobody else who could do it for me. So in February this year, I stopped drinking sugar. I've taken some sugar, some form of sugar here and there, but to be honest, I don't know what a pop. We call them pop here, like POP.
Pop, yeah.
Yes. I haven't drank pop at all in the last 5 months or whatever. I don't even know how it tastes. And if I try to even put 1, 2, sugar in my tea, I start developing some reaction to it. My body now is reacting to that sugar, and I start getting itchy and I'm scratching all over. As soon as I stop that, it goes away. So my body is now, I feel good, I feel healthier. I can even walk better and faster. I understand my things. My memory was gone. I was almost losing everything. I couldn't even remember. Like, if you give me your phone number, I'll be like, what did you say again? And ask you 3 times because I couldn't even memorize things.
So all that pop.
Yes. But now I will say, okay, you give me a number. Okay, I may lose one number there or so, but my memory is improving every day. I don't think I'm where I want it to be, but I just want to share with others that you are looking at somebody who was addicted to sugar, and I've come out of it. I'm still coming out of it, and I think I've seen a change.
Well, I love watching TED Talks and any conversations that help us understand fringe science, like what they're finding out as they bore deeper and deeper down into the human condition. And it was a life-defining moment for me. It was actually last year. So I've heard lots of people talk about sugar, but they never quite explained what happened in the body. And it was a common guys. I saw Jordan Peterson and a lot of guys talk about this. And the one guy said sugar and starch, rice and potatoes. When you go past the age of 28, I believe, so your brain stops growing. So at around about 28, which means a lot of the development stops, but your hippocampus is still firing. You can learn new things, and your memory and learning is great. But the requirements that your body had for sugar and starch before 28 was very high, because you were burning it. You're growing, you're running, you're moving, and so people with slower metabolisms, they can't really enjoy what guys with faster metabolisms. But yet about 28, your body's burning a lot less energy because the brain stopped growing. The body's now where it develops, and you'll notice that in especially men in their 30s, they go ka-dunk,
Yes.
they suddenly go whoop, so you go from to boom, you're like all of a sudden you fill out. Like I was so thin, people used to joke. They said, because I got curly hair, so they said I'm so thin they can grab me by the ankles and clean the corners of their house with me. I was very thin, and suddenly I wasn't thin anymore, and suddenly I was depressed. And they said, so what they explained was after the age of 28 for men and women, it differs. Sometimes it's 26, sometimes it's 31. But because your body isn't burning the carbohydrates as rapidly as it was, it now starts storing them, and they actually start to ferment in your body. There's like a form of molecular fermentation that happens where your body's actually rotting.
See.
Your brain is rotting. It's not literally rotting in how we understand rotting, but it's poisoning itself.
Yes.
So you get the flu easier. Stress makes you sick. You're more prone to stress. If you're under a little bit of pressure, you'll get flu symptoms. If you have conflict, it's like you start to get like you feel physically ill. Like you mentioned, you start to forget things. And in my case, horrendous depression just flooded me because I was having so much sugar. I would drink condensed milk, condensed milk,
Oh, yeah. Yes.
out the tin, and then a 2-liter Fanta orange as a joke,
Wow.
So let's go, look, and then we all laugh, and my friend would drop a 2-liter Coke, and and we, that was how we rolled. Lots of sugar all the time and lots of action. And I didn't realize what was happening was that at a molecular level, my body was aging.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to almost immediately go off sugar and go onto a major diet of meat and vegetables after the age of 30 at least. 28's a great age to stop. And then your brain will actually start firing on all cylinders because it's now matured, and you'll be able to learn at the same rate that you were learning in your 7 to 14 stage, in that developmental stage of the... See, 0 to 7 is... You can't keep up with that. I mean, the amount of information that the brain assimilates in 0 to 7 is incredible. But from 7 to 14 can be emulated at any point in your life with the right diet and the right... Because, I mean, it's like... What was the study? It was 4% exercise, 96 or something percent diet if you want to have a six-pack. How do you like that? 4% exercise.
Wow.
If you want to have a six-pack.
Yeah.
If you want to bulk up, you'll need to do... Because your muscles respond to the demand put on them. But if you just want to... At your current... Like your body currently is... If you go into, it's ketogenic, so you go into ketosis. So if you want to have an incredible body, you learn how to starve your fat. Now the interesting fact is, every time you breathe out, your carbon monoxide is actually fat coming out of your... Did you know that? It's your
Part of it, yeah.
Conversion, yeah.
Yes.
Out comes fat out of your... So the guy explained, he said, if you just go for a walk every day and you're on the right diet, you can look like you can look better than you looked when you were a teenager.
I want to add on to say, I forgot to mention that I went on... what do you call it, a 12-hour fasting every day. So I would stop eating, say, at 10 p.m. during the night, and I would eat my next meal at 10 a.m. in the morning. So every day I'd gone into this dieting, into this fasting, and incredibly I lost about 7 to 8 kilograms. That's why all this, I told you I was bulk, and I didn't exercise not even a single minute, but it was just from reducing my intake and reducing from snacking and eating every day, every time, always, whenever I felt like, craving for things to eat, to 2 meals per day.
Yeah, well, my wife does intermittent fasting. I'm going to show you a photo of my wife. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
There's my wife.
Wow. Yeah.
The wings grew on after she married me, which is, what Beautiful. I think anybody that your wings just grew on, because anybody who likes me has wings grow out of their back. It's just a natural result of liking me.
Thank you
and
so much.
giving me stuff.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
That's literally my wife.
That's good. That's good.
I put the wings on. I had an artist do that for me.
Pass my greetings to her and tell her to fast more if she can. She would even.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah.
She does like fast where she only eats an apple, and then she's very disciplined.
Yes.
Not me. I just it's like I could lose a lot more weight, but I'm kind of happy here because I've decided to do a long-term thing. I can't do a short-term. I can't do what Mandy does. That is crazy. I can't. That is, I don't know. So you've got the discipline to do fasting.
Yes. It's all about mental
health.
Discipline. It's how do you discipline yourself to say, I'll put a stop to this. I'll share a little bit of my life as well with you. I was drinking. I grew up drinking, and I developed ulcers at a very early stage. And a doctor in Zimbabwe told me after doing an endoscopy and a colonoscopy. He looked at my results and said to me, "Do you want to live or die?" That's how bluntly he put it. I said, "I want to live." I was like 24, and he said, "You have to stop drinking beer." That was the last time I stopped drinking beer. I'm 56 now. I don't even know how one drop of beer tastes. I stopped, behaving or acting out in certain ways that impeded, like eating spicy and so forth, just so I could cut down on acidic foods.
Yes.
I'm still alive. Some more than half, actually, it's more than 26 years from the time that he told me if I wanted to live or die. So I just cutting down on behavior. I mentioned that because when you discipline yourself and you never go back, you benefit from it. And again, I'm a living testimony of how cutting down on a certain behavior has helped me to live this long.
Well, it goes a lot to show that mental health is about being surrounded by good people and having good habits.
Yeah.
Amen. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Specialist forensic mental health bachelor of science degree Stephen. So is Heri Kia, is that your surname or your first name?
That's my first name. Charona is my last name. I didn't put that. Yeah.
So Heri Kia, am I saying it right?
Yes.
I am Andrew. I don't have any cool.
Thank you, Pastor.
I like so one of our our foster daughters in the house here. Her name's Chennai. Guess what?
She's
nationality
Zimbabwean.
she is?
She's Zimbabwean. Yes.
Yeah.
That's Chennai means white. Be pure. Purity actually is purity.
Yeah. She's awesome. Very, very beautiful. Amazing. Our youngest one is Ahava. Usually Ahava comes and jumps on my lap. She's also a little African girl.
Yes.
And she's the light of our life. She's the coolest human being I've ever seen grow up, I have to tell you. But I am biased because she is my daughter. So
any loving father will be biased in favor of their own. So
yes.
That's expected.
Yeah. No, look, when she's 16, I'm sending her to Greg.
Wow.
I'll probably, I don't know. We'll see what happens, but we'll see. I'd like her to go and experience the rest of the world, go to the States, and be there for a while. But let's see. I mean, when she's 16, I will be. She's 4 now.
That's a long.
So I'm 48. Yeah. So how many? That's 12 years from now. So I'll be like 60. Yeah. So she'll have her sweet 16 and I'll have my sweet 60.
Yeah, that's okay.
I love it. Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much. Have a wonderful. What's the time there? It's afternoon.
Yeah, it's 3:21 p.m. We are 6 hours ahead of you. Sorry, behind you guys. You are ahead by 6 hours sharp.
Yeah, I'll leave a sandwich on the moon, and as you go past, you just grab it.
Yes, please. I'll grab it.
It'll just actually. I don't eat bread, so it'll just be 2 pieces of lettuce and a piece of meat.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah, God bless you. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Yes, thank you. I want to thank Renee for helping out and reaching out to help anyway. And like I said, anyway is I have so much respect for him. He doesn't have good education from his background. He didn't get the opportunity that I did, but he's a great person, and I'm sure everybody needs to chip in to help out and help his mom. So thank you as well. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much. God bless you. Le toodles.
Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off before you
No,
said
no.
thank you.
How do I exit here, Pastor? How do I just?
Yeah, you just say goodbye and then off
Yeah,
you go.
goodbye to everybody. I'll see you guys in person. Maybe Renee, maybe I might visit you at your animal sanctuary and see you. Thank you so much.
Cool. Renee, you've got an animal sanctuary, and I've got an animal sanctuary, and I'm one of the animals at the animal sanctuary. Anyway, awesome, man. Thank you, everybody from. Thank you for watching tonight. Thank you for hanging out. I think that was pretty cool. You know, we wanted to help someone, but in the end, you know, we ended up learning something amazing. We ended up learning some cool stuff. Cool, magnificent, awesome, stunning. Yeah. So Philip wants to know, where's the animal sanctuary? When you come again, try and come in the morning, and then you can go hang out with Renee for a morning or so. It's about 18 kilometers from here, I think. It's pretty close. And she's got a giraffe and stuff. And some buffalo. And some mice. Rats. Dussies. Snakes. Ants. Lots of ants. Sorry, it's called the Savannah Africa. You can find it on Google. It's very close to here. Let's take it out to Savannah. Savannah, Africa. Savannah, Savannah. I bless the Savannah. See, they even wrote a song about the Savannah. Anyway, that's all I got. Joe, thank you, everyone. Thank you for partnering. Have a wonderful potato, man. You are all amazing and awesome and stunning and cool. Tra-la-la, tra-la-la, tra-la-lee, tra-la-lee. Toodles. Now, I'm not the specialist nurse, Stephen. Don't look at that now and get confused, please. I am Tinotenda Mwari. That's my name. Tinotenda Mwari. That's me. So say Mwari. That's me. Tinotenda Mwari. Mwari. Tinotenda Mwari. That's me. See? That's me. I'm Tinotenda Mwari. Love you. Bye.